Board of L&I review for today, Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. We will begin with continuances, requests for continuance, withdrawals, or to announce agreements with various parties. So in order to do some level of efficiency in this, what I will do with the board will introduce itself as well as staff, and we will then, I will call the names of the various city attorneys represented on Zoom and ask if you have any requests for continuance or withdrawals, etc. Again, I'm Kenneth Woodson, Chair.
Ralph Pincus, board member.
Steve Pettit, board member.
Ed Jefferson.
Ed Jefferson, counsel to the board.
Michelle Rand, board's administrator.
John Mathis, board's review.
Good afternoon, everyone. And you will also see an image for our court reporter, Ms. Thompson. Let's begin by checking in with various attorneys representing the city. So hopefully I won't get this wrong. Ms. Lauren Curry, you have any requests? You're muted.
Yes, good afternoon. First, I would like to draw the board's attention to number 12 on the list.
Okay.
This is appeal number HA 2021-002228, Mark Pisa for 533 Manton Street, and that matter is moot.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Mr. Pesa is here or not.
Mr. Pesa, are you on the screen with us today? If not, okay, thank you. So that's a moot matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the second matter is number 13 on the list, appeal number HA 2021-003231, Jamie Sheehan, and that's 1230 South Eisenmenger Street, and that is also moot.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure if the appellant is here, Mr. Sheehan.
Mr. Sheehan, are you present? Okay, not noted. So we'll mark it as moot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, let's see here then. Mr. Cohen, Jeffrey Cohen.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Jeffrey Cohen for the City of Philadelphia. If I could call your attention to case number 2, appeal number 39500, appellant Charmaine Prater. That matter is moot. I emailed the board and the appellant's, the address that the appellant left, I emailed a few days ago. So that should be marked moot complied.
Okay, thank you. Moot complied. All right, thank you very much.
As to number 4 on the list, appeal number 39563, appellant Veronica R. Lee Montgomery. The city has requested a continuance in that matter as the city's witness is unavailable due to a family funeral. But this matter also, the appellant didn't appear at the last hearing, and I don't see the appellant here today.
Okay.
So I will leave that determination to the board.
Let's do this. I hate to have the calendar clogged with cases that are almost walking dead here. Miss Veronica R. Lee Montgomery, are you present? The 1:15 was the call time for that individual. What we will do is once the hearings begin, we'll come back to that, Mr. Cohen.
Okay.
So we'll put
Thank you.
on hold your request for continuance, okay?
And finally, there was a late request for an emergency hearing from 4345 Lancaster Avenue. I believe the appeal was HA 2021-004461. The city responded and said that we wouldn't be opposed to a hearing on, I think, November 16th or November 30th, and that we would hold off on implementing a cease until December 1st. So I leave it to the board's discretion when to schedule that.
Okay, that one has not come before the board yet. And so we
Okay.
will have to respond as soon as we get it. It'll be momentarily, I'm sure. So we'll get back to you, Mr. Cohen.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's see, Maggie White, you have anything for us today?
Good afternoon. I do not have a continuance. I do have a moot complied case.
Okay, which one is that?
It's number 3 on the list, I believe. It's appeal number 39517.
Okay. Yes.
J&K Properties, 2948 Reed Street is moot complied.
Moot complied. Thank you. We'll note that. Is that, do you have anything else for us?
I do. I am also here for number 6 on the list for its appeal number HA-2021-002434, 6234 Woodland Avenue.
Okay. But that you're representing the city's interests. You're prepared to go forward when we call it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I also just want to mention that the attorney for number 3 is present, Ms. Chen.
Yes, good afternoon. Am I allowed to leave at this point or I
Yes,
missed the first?
yes.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I appreciate that.
Okay, Ms. Chen, have a good afternoon.
You too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Carolyn Curley, you have anything for the board today?
Good afternoon. No, I'm just observing today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Already, Mr. Panko.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I'd also like to call to the board's attention appeal number 8 on the list.
8, okay.
I believe Mr. Carlos Vega is here as opposing counsel. I wanted to ask if there is a translator here or if Mr. Vega is okay, there is a translator here.
Yeah, we have a translator on standby who's prepared to participate.
Okay, great.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I believe that's it in terms of counsel for the city. Have I missed anyone? If not, if I have, please speak up. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, we do have 2 cases that will require an interpreter today. So we will call those in the appropriate order. One is in Korean, the other is in Spanish. We will get to those as soon as we can. So why don't we then begin with, I believe actually for the record, we should note that case number 1 on our list, appeal number 37444 has been continued. Mr. DeMarco is counsel for the appellate. I don't know if Mr. DeMarco is on the line today or not. I don't see him. But for the record, please note that. So let's.
May I also ask, did we talk about cases 7, 9, 10, and 11?
Yes.
Continuous request for a city? Okay. Thank you. Just making sure that we got that.
Yeah, what we can do is read those into the record at the end of the hearing. Okay.
I just saw that Attorney McCreesh was here. That's why I meant.
Yeah, and actually, that's what I was just thinking. Why don't we just go ahead and call those out, Ms. Rand, and then read them into the record, please.
Certainly. Case number 7, appeal number HA-2020-000332, Neil Banerjee for 1618 North Sydenham Street. A continuance was requested by the city.
Okay, and the continuance has been granted.
Case number 9, appeal number HA-2021-002601, Kun Yang Zheng, 3807 Pulaski Avenue, represented by Eleanor Chen, Esquire. A continuance was requested by the city.
Okay, thank you. Continuance granted.
Mhm.
Is okay, Ms. Chen. Okay, thank you.
Case number 10, appeal number HA-2021-002602, 2901 Anthony Inc., 2901 North 27th Street, represented by John J. McCreesh IV. Continuance was requested by the city, and Mr. Attorney McCreesh is present.
Okay. Mr. McCreesh, continuance has been granted. Do you
Yeah,
have any
city
objection?
requested it. They'll get a new date?
Yes, you get a new date.
Mhm. Appeal number 11, case number 11, appeal number HA-2021-002603, XX Lynn Inc., 5840 Harbison Avenue, represented by John J. McCreesh IV. A continuance was requested by the city.
Okay, Mr. McCreesh, you have any concerns? We will give you a new date for that one.
Yeah, well, I had, on this one, the business, they sold, my client sold their business in the, a couple months ago. So I guess it's moot. I don't know if you want me to withdraw it.
Oh, yeah, if they've sold it, then there's no longer an appeal that they're concerned about. So it would be better for them to withdraw the appeal.
Okay, do I have to do that just by letter or?
Well, you can do it on the record now if you
I could just,
represent the
well,
interest of the
I'll
client.
just withdraw it right now then, if that's.
Yes.
easy.
Mhm.
Okay, We'll repeat the appeal number HA-2021-002603. This is in Lynn Inc., 5840 Harbison Avenue. Mr. McCreesh, you represent the interests of your client. What is it that you have to offer?
Yes, I wanted to withdraw the case because I've been advised that the client sold the business, is no longer operating there, so it's a moot case.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll note it as withdrawn.
Thank you.
Yes,
That'd be
please follow
great.
up though with a note to the office on the matter, please. An email to the office.
You want me to send an email?
Yes,
Sure.
so that it's just in the written hard record.
Okay,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, so let's go back then. I guess the first case to be called would be number 5.
Right. Case number 5, appeal number 40005, Eclipse number HA-2021-004530. Stephanie Bennett, 5315 Jackson Street.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, Lauren Curry on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, Stephanie Bennett, are you present?
Yes, I am. Hopefully you can
Okay,
hear me.
thank you very much. Alrighty, Ms. Bennett, if you would raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will provide today will be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. You can place your hand down. Good, Ms. Curry, would you begin by presenting the city's position?
Good afternoon. So in this case, on December the 24th, 2019, a water department inspector found a cave-in at the curb line in the street in front of 5315 Jackson Street. On December the 26th, 2019, the water department performed a dye test, which indicated defective laterals at 5315 Jackson Street and also at the location next door, 5313 Jackson Street. The sewer was normal and both properties were served notices of defect. I had a couple exhibits which I submitted to the board. I will show the first one, City Exhibit 1. Apologize. Share my screen. Okay, so as you can see, this is a work order that indicates that the cave-in was found in front of 5315 Jackson Street, that the dye test was performed, and the 2 defective laterals were discovered through the dye test. You can see on the side that the defect that was found was a defective lateral and that this is the responsibility of the property owner. And the other document that I had submitted are work orders to that same effect, which will be City 2, which I'll share now. Here we have the notice of defect that was served indicating the defective lateral after having placed the dye in a cave-in on December 26, 2019. There's a second copy of this handwritten. And then notes again, as we saw in the other document. And then the remaining pages are just re-inspections. Did not find complete repairs made. And I'll just scroll down. There were several re-inspections as this is an older case.
What was the date of the last inspection?
The last inspection, I'll get to the bottom here, was on September 17th, 2021.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And again, they did not find complete repairs made, just incomplete repairs. So this would still be open. And in addition, I have a witness here, Mr. Anthony Myers. Thank you, Mr. Myers, for coming.
Is Mr. Myers present? I don't see his image. Oh, okay. Already. Well, Mr. Myers, when you get to a stationary place, let us know, then we can swear you in. Okay. Okay, you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. If you could turn your volume, sir, so we can hear you more clearly. You can barely hear you.
I'm gonna go to the office.
Okay.
Yes. Is it better
Thank
now?
you.
Yes, that's much better. For everyone participating today, you should just be aware that these proceedings are being recorded by Zoom and the court reporter. So if you have any objection to being recorded, you please let us know before you begin your testimony. Thank you. All right, thank you. Miss Curry?
Thank you. Mr. Myers, by whom are you employed and what is your title?
I'm with the Philadelphia Water Department and I'm a crew chief 1.
Thank you. And can you tell us about what took place at 5315 Jackson Street?
I have no familiarity with that. I'm not from down that district.
Okay, I apologize. I'll ask a more specific question. So first, I'm going to show you one of the documents that I just shared. This was 5315 Jackson Street, City 2. I just wanted to show you the original notice of defect, which was served, which I believe this was your crew, A. Myers, at on 12/26/2019. Is that your crew?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And could you please explain what would have happened as far as performing a dye test at this property?
We dye test the cave-in by putting a green dye into the cave-in, and we run water into the cave-in, and we wait until we see if it enters our sewer. Once we see if it enters our sewer, if the sewer is big enough for us to send a man in manually, he goes down and inspect the sewer and see where the dye is coming from. Or we can more than likely see the dye coming in from the top side through a defective FAI or curb trap.
Thank you. And looking at this notice of defect, where does it indicate that the defect was?
In the lateral.
Thank you. And I will show one more diagram to explain a little bit better what Mr. Myers was talking about. And I think that will conclude my testimony. Thank you.
Okay. Before you, Mr. Myers moves away from the microphone, I want to give an opportunity to the appellant, Ms. Bennett. Ms. Bennett, do you have any specific questions? Ma'am, would you leave that same image up, please? Just so that it may be helpful to Ms. Bennett.
I don't need it. It's fine.
Okay. Do you have any specific questions of the witness based on his testimony?
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay.
When you do the dye test, you said that you do it into the cave-in. If there isn't a cave-in, you said you would do the top side. Could you further explain that?
No, if it's not a cave-in, there's no reason for us to do a dye test unless we want to make sure that your sewer system is working. So we'll dye test your FAI, which is your fresh air intake pipe, and that will let us know that you're getting into the sewer system, that everything is working correctly. So if it's not a cave-in, we don't run no dye tests unless we want to make sure your system is working.
All right, very important. So if you went out to the property and there is no sinkhole, you would test through the FAI, same dye, and run it down, and you would check to see if that was, if you were showing the green dye that the lateral was in fact damaged.
Yes.
Perfect. I thank you for your testimony. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Curry, you have anything else?
Just in closing, that again, in this property, as we saw in the documents, and as Mr. Myers explained, the dye test was performed through the cave-in, and it indicated that 5315 and the neighboring property 5313 Jackson Street had defective laterals.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Bennett, it's your turn. Do you have any specific information you want to share with us that will help us make a decision?
Absolutely. If y'all guys want to sit back, grab a cup of coffee.
No,
I'll-
it won't take that long. So I need you to be very specific to the use of facts, okay?
Yes, I'm going to give you all of the facts.
Okay.
It was stated that this sinkhole was discovered December 26th by, or the 24th, I should say, by Mr. Myers or his crew, when in fact, this dates back to May of 2019, where the first phone call to the city of Philadelphia was reported by myself amongst probably about 10 other phone calls to follow up to find out when the sinkhole was going to be fixed.
So there is a sinkhole.
There was a sinkhole back in May of 2019. that
Was
I
there a
had-
sinkhole in 2019 in December?
If I could just probably finish this whole
Oh,
thing.
well, answer the question.
There was a sinkhole.
Okay.
But if you let me finish the whole story, it's probably best that you.
Well, no, I want you to be as specific as you can. We may not, because you have a lot of cases you want to hear.
So in May of 2019, I reported a sinkhole. In September of 2019, I received a letter stating from, I don't know what crew it was, I don't have the paperwork in front of me, that there was a curb trap defect. I was completely dumbfounded that there was a curb trap defect when I had just replaced a curb trap back in 2013. And so I was up in arms at the fact that I was going to have to spend another $4,000 to replace a curb trap again for a second time. I did replace that curb trap again because there was no way around it. I had to replace the curb trap. And so I had that curb trap replaced December 6th, 2019.
Did you get a violation for the curb trap?
I did not get a violation. A violation stating, yes, there was a curb trap needed to be replaced. And so
You did?
yes.
Okay.
So they came out, the crew came out, the plumbing crew came out to replace the curb trap. And while an inspector came out to inspect the curb trap when the crew was done. And I spoke with the inspector. He was an older gentleman. I have a feeling his name was Mr. Sanders, but don't quote me on that. He came out, he looked at it, he said everything was okay. And I said, look, they're going to cover this up and they're going to do the concrete. Please, please, please make sure that this sinkhole is corrected, because I strongly believe the sinkhole happened and all the water from all the 6 months that kept pouring in ruined my curb trap for a second time. So I had to have that replaced.
It was when you had the curb, but before you proceed, the curb trap when it was exposed, did they also expose the lateral at the same time?
No.
Okay.
So Mr. Sanders looks, he says everything is okay. And I said, please call the city and get them to replace now the street that has this sinkhole. And he said he was on it. And so I called and called and called and called again to Mr. Sanders, or I'm almost positive that's his name, to get this sinkhole filled. Now, all of a sudden, December 26th is the date that the paperwork was filed. I don't know what day I actually received it, but now they say, well, hello, guess what? You have a lateral problem now. Keep in mind, the sinkhole never got fixed. Keep in mind, for those 3 weeks that the sinkhole was still open, it rained, it snowed, it was a mess. So again, in my belief now, the sinkhole is still open and it is now ruining the lateral and also potentially ruining my new curb trap that I had replaced.
Did you ever get your plumber to come back and give you an opinion about the lateral?
He said there was no lateral damage, but I can't go by that because he wasn't there to inspect that. So let me just pause you. Just give me a few minutes because this will all tie in at the end. Okay, I get in touch with the water department. I'm up in arms because I just can't understand it. I speak with a woman named Tamika. Tamika and I have a very long conversation. I explained everything to her. She said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to meet you out at that property. Let's just say this was on a Monday, we were going to meet Wednesday, or it was a Wednesday, we were going to meet the following Monday. I don't know the exact date, but there was a little short period of time that in between those days that we were going to meet. It wasn't like we were going to meet the very next day. So there was some time in between that meeting. I get to the property, I have her cell phone, I text her, I'm waiting at the property. It was like a 7:30 meeting or an 8:15 meeting, can't recall exactly the time. And I get to the property, I'm sitting in my car. It was the coldest day of the year. And I'm waiting for her, I'm waiting for her. We're into January. It was the beginning of January, I believe, of now 2020. And I'm waiting for her, I'm waiting for her. And I text the cell phone, I call the cell phone, she's not responding. So I called her work number and she answers, Tamika. And I said, oh, this is Stephanie Bennett. I thought we were meeting today at such and such a time. She goes, oh no, I'm not coming to there. The street has been fixed. And I said, I'm sitting in my car across the street and I looked over and I said, oh my God, you're right. The street is fixed. She said, so there's no sense in me coming out there because I can't test it. And I said, well, wait a minute. We were coming out here because she was going to do the dye test with me to show me the dye going down and to prove to me. So if you prove it to me, I believe it. Then I understand it. And okay, I get it. The lateral is truly damaged. So in her saying, oh, that got fixed, I couldn't believe that for 8 months, and I may be saying the wrong month, but I'm trying to say that it was a long period of time of me calling and calling and calling and calling the city to get this fixed, that all of a sudden Tamika was on it. And now Tamika, it's all corrected. Okay, so her and I end our conversation. She said, you're gonna just have to appeal it. I don't know what else to tell you. There's no other way for me to test. I said, okay. I end that conversation. I go right down to wherever I went down to appeal this. I don't know the date. I don't know what the appeal that you have in front of you, but I did appeal it. And my hearing was for last June. And as we all know, what happened last year with COVID, that hearing, I called every day to find out, are we going to do a hearing? Are we not doing a hearing? I left voicemail after voicemail, never got a response, and nothing happened. So now we're into 2021. They said they were behind on these hearings and that they would be in touch with me at some point. In the meantime, I want to get my concrete all redone out front because it looks a mess. And so I call Tamika again and I say, hey, Tamika, this is Stephanie. I don't know if you remember my story, yada, 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 yada. But listen, I want to get my concrete done, but I don't want to get my concrete done if it's in fact a lateral, if there's still a lateral problem. So I'd like to get everything dug up. While it's dug up, Tamika, can you come out, do a quick test, see if everything, is it okay? Is it not okay? Because I have American Water Resources now. If there truly is a lateral defect, all I have to do is call them up and say, hey, I've got a lateral defect. I need you to fix this. It's not going to cost me $4,000 out of pocket again. And so she says, okay, let me know the day they dig it up. Tell them don't put the concrete in. I'll come the next morning and I'll check everything out. She came out. I don't know what the date is. I can get it for you if you need me to. She came out. She said, my crew came out. I don't know if it was her. I can't remember if it was her or the crew. They came out. They tested. They can't test because there is no sinkhole any longer. So we can't get to see the visual of the lateral. However, we did test it and the dye is not coming through, saying there is no lateral damage, but I can't say that. That's what she's saying. I'm speaking as her. I can't say there is no lateral damage. You have to go by the paperwork that you received that states there is a lateral damage. Tamika did the dye test. The dye did not come out the other end. And she says my lateral is fine. I just want somebody to tell me, is my lateral fine or not fine? I have the means to fix it. Somebody check it, give me a letter. I give it to American Resources and I get it fixed.
Okay.
If it's fine, as Tamika said it was, because she did do the dye test. And this is just back
Okay,
in
wait a minute. Let me answer your question.
July.
Let me answer your question. Okay, let's do this so we can get something resolved. Do you have a full name for this individual, this Tamika person?
Tamika, no, but I have her phone number, direct
Okay.
line.
Ms. Curry, I'm thinking here, given the level of complexity, and I will first of all apologize to Ms. Bennett for all the missed phone calls and the delays here. We apologize for that on behalf of the whole system. But Ms. Curry, it appears that we ought to continue this so that, in fact, this Stephanie person, I'm not sure who this is, could have a conversation with Mr. Myers. Miss Stephanie, you can't speak when someone else is speaking because we're recording everything. So if there's a way for Mr. Myers, who's a crew chief, to connect with internally with this Tamika person to resolve the issue in terms of what the violation really ought to be and whether or not there's a way to confirm it. Ms. Carey, can we do that?
I could certainly ask Mr. Myers and Tamika. I think I know who Tamika is. I can ask them to have a discussion. I will say that most likely the dye test that took place with the sinkhole and everything is that's what will stand.
Okay, well, that
I'm
may
not
be the
sure
case.
how it will be, but
Yeah, but we have conflict information, and given the nature of this and the homeowner's interest and the ability to resolve it, I'd rather have there be internal clearance in terms of what's wrong or not wrong before we deliver a decision. Okay.
certainly, yes, I will have the two of them have.
So
a
we'll,
discussion
unless I
if we
hear
can.
something
I have
different from one of my colleagues on the board.
I have a comment, and based on what I'm hearing from Ms. Bennett, did you ever actually have a plumber, or did you have a plumber inspect the lateral line? You said you replaced the curb trap, but did someone come out and tell you that the lateral was fine?
Yes, Tamika said she did
No,
the FHI test.
I didn't ask you whether the city said that. You represented what the city had done, and you said the dye test that the city ran, the dye did not come into the line. Is that correct?
Correct, and that was just this past July when I had the concrete dug up. She did this FHI test. That's why I was so specific, asking the witness, Mr. Myers, can you test, and does that mean if you run the test through the FHI that the lateral is okay? So I think, and I'm not a plumber, I'm not any of this, but what my understanding of this is, I think that when they tested the lateral on 5313 and the dye came through, it was their lateral, not my lateral, because Tamika ran that test this past July and it's okay. But she says that she can't override the paperwork that I received from the city back in 2019. It's something that I had to go through an appeal process. And Lauren, I don't mean to cut you off with your question, sir, but Lauren, is there a way?
No, Miss Stephanie, no, you don't get to ask the city's attorney questions. That's not how it works.
And
Okay.
I'd like to suggest to you, Ms. Bennett, that if in fact you're not able to resolve it after Ms. Curry contacts the water department, that if this matter comes back to the board, you may want to have a plumber of your choosing come out and make a test so that you can present to us that plumber's report of what that plumber observed when they tested the line. Okay, because what we're hearing from you, we're not hearing direct testimony about what this Tamika did. You're advising us and informing us of your conversation with her. So Ms. Curry the chairman has asked Ms. Curry to verify this information. If in fact it comes up that the city determines that the matter has not been corrected, then I would suggest to you that if we have this matter rescheduled for a hearing, that you engage someone to come out and make their own determination, and you can present that information to us at that hearing. Okay, Ms. Bennett?
So what I'm suggesting is that we will continue this case for at least 60 days to allow that to occur. Ms. Bennett?
May I say something?
Yes.
One thing, please?
Yes.
It should be documented. Tamika has documented in the system.
That's what
If
we're,
anyone has access.
but that's what we're going to ask
You
Ms.
can look
Curry
it
to
up
do
on it.
to resolve that, to determine if there's written documentation and to resolve any particular conflict that it appears to exist.
Is she able to do that right now? While
No,
we're
she
right
can't do
here?
that right now. We have tons of more cases to hear. And so what I've asked her to do is I'm given 60 days to figure out a way to resolve it. Okay?
I guess it has to be okay. I wish we could just resolve it right now because it's in the system.
Well, it may or may not be in the system, and we don't know that, and we don't have the ability during the hearing to do that.
Everything.
Ms.
Pardon
Bennett,
me? Mr. Pincus, you have further comment?
I'm trying to ask that our conversations not be interrupted by the appellant.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so all parties, please advise the file, the notes will indicate for the day's hearing that the 60 days continuance. At that point, if it has not been resolved, it'll all come back. And Ms. Bennett, if you're rescheduled, as Mr. Pincus has suggested, it would be helpful if you get your own plumber to give you written report on the status of your lateral.
So I just need to pay more out of pocket.
No, not necessarily. Depending upon what your plumbers will do an inspection without charging you necessarily.
I know there's a fee for sure.
Well, if what we will find out is whether or not there's an internal conflict within the city's written record.
Okay.
And if there is no conflict and the record indicates that the lateral is bad, that's will be what we will go on, unless someone else brings written record of something different. And your plumber can do that for you.
One further question, if I may, Ms. Bennett. You said you came out to the property to meet the inspector. Is this property one that you live in, or is it a property you rent?
I've run it out.
I see. Okay, so it's an income producing property for you. Is that correct? You're a landlord.
Correct. I don't really make anything off it, but yes.
Thank you.
Okay. For the record, just indicate if it. Never mind. I'm good. All right. Thank you very much. Note for the record that is a continued case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That will conclude my matters before the board. May my witness and I be excused?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Myers.
That's an income producing.
Okay. All right.
Do I leave this now?
Yes. Yeah. We're going to exit you out of the hearing.
Uh-huh.
So would you mind muting your, because we're hearing your background conversation.
I'm trying to leave the meeting.
Sure. I'm going to put you in the waiting room so you can. All right. Okay.
Okay. What's next?
The next is case number 6, appeal number HJ-2021-002434, Paul Park, 6234 Woodland Avenue, represented by Kevin T. Kim. And we have an interpreter for this case. Lena, is it J? G? Hi.
Yes, Jay. Hi.
Good afternoon. Who's representing the city?
Maggie White for the city of Philadelphia.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. White, do you have any witnesses for today?
Jody Wilkins.
Is Ms. Wilkins present?
Yes, she is.
Okay, let's do this. Let's begin by swearing in Ms. J. Ms. J, would you raise your right hand so you may be sworn? Do you swear to correctly interpret the proceedings today from Korean to English and English to Korean, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you very much. The request that we have of you is that you do a simultaneous translation of the proceedings. And then if you could be in touch with the appellant, mute your screen so you can speak directly to the appellant so they can be informed of what's happening as is happening. Is that okay with you?
That is okay with me, but in order to do that, Zoom has a special setting because I would be talking over everybody because that's what simultaneous would be. I don't think that would be good for the record.
Well, if you could mute yourself, as long as the appellant knows what hears the proceedings. If you'd be in telephone conversation with the appellant?
Oh, I believe I'm actually not allowed to give out my personal phone number. I would have to check with my agency on that if that's okay, because usually Zoom has a simultaneous setting that is available beforehand. I think that's what we believe what was going to happen here.
Okay, just for a moment, Ms. Rand, what do you have as an option? You're muted, Ms. Rand.
Excuse me. Let me see. I would like to, do you mind if we ask Ms. Heister? Because I don't recall what we had done before, if she's available at all.
Ms. Keister has she's interpreted for Spanish for us several times, and we've done it. Ms. Keister, what do you recommend?
Well, I would recommend putting yourself on mute in the Zoom. And then if you're concerned, what I normally do would be to call the person that I'm interpreting for. You can do a block your ID number, and you can get the phone number of the person you're interpreting for and ask them if you can call them so that they can hear you during the proceeding. And then you can put in the code to block your number and call them.
Okay.
Yeah, I've worked with the simultaneous Zoom thing, but that feature's not always available to us, and we should probably try not to delay people's proceedings, right?
Right.
Can I interject for a second?
Who's speaking, please?
Paul Park.
Okay, Mr. Parker, your relation, and you are the.
No, I'm the CPA who was helping client who needed a translator, but I couldn't translate for him. And we got an attorney here.
We must have an authorized translator.
That's fine.
Is Mr. Kim present, the attorney?
Mr. Chairman, Kevin Kim, on behalf of the appellant, 6,000 Robin Inc.
Okay. Is the appellant with you, Mr. Kim, or?
He's in my office at the other desk. I set him up with a laptop, so he's here. Mr. Chairman, I think you mean consecutive translation, not simultaneous translation, right?
Well, what we wanted was simultaneous so that we would move smoother. Consecutive can happen, but it just stretches everything out so much longer. That's the problem. So let's do this. Given the complexity of this matter, we just may have to slog through it and do consecutive.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is not going to be long. It's going to be very short.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to proceed with consecutive. The desired is simultaneous, but we'll have to do consecutive. Now, what I will ask everyone present then who's participating is to be patient and allow the speaker to complete. And when the interpreter speaks, we will have to allow the appellant to respond. And we'll have to speak slowly so that she can keep up with what we're doing. So we just have to be patient with one another and work through it. Okay? Thank you. So Ms. Rand, would you read the case in? And Ms. J, you will be asked to interpret consecutively as we go through this. Okay?
Yes.
Ms. Rand?
Thank you. Case number 6, appeal number HA-2021-002434, Paul Park, 6234 Woodland Avenue, represented by Kevin T. Kim.
네, 사건 번호 HA-2021-20-34 폴파크 2234 우드랜드 애비뉴에 그리고 케빈 킴의 변호인을 맡은 사건입니다.
Thank you. Mr. Kim, will Mr. Park be asked to testify?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ms. J, I need you to interpret what I just said.
그리고 지금 폴 파크 씨께서 증언을 하실 계획인가요? 네, 맞습니다.
Thank you. Ms. Maggie White, would you proceed then, please?
I'd like to call Jody Wilkins.
Okay. Ms. Wilkins, I will need to swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
네, 조지 윌킨스 씨께서 지금 증언을 이제 증인석에 앉아 계시고요. 지금 하나도 더함과 빠짐없이 오리지 진실만을 말씀하실 것을 엄숙히 맹세하셨습니다.
Okay, Ms. White.
Ms. Wilkins, can you tell us what you do for a living?
I'm the sanitarian supervisor with the City of Philadelphia Health Department, primarily doing tobacco enforcement, reviewing and approving and denying tobacco retailer permits, as well as ticketing for tobacco violations.
네, 지금 이 말씀하시는 분의 직업은 담배 단속을 하신 필라델피아 시를 위해서 담배 단속을 하는 거고요. 그리고 거기에 대한 허가증 그리고 인증 그리고 만약에 또 이제 불법이 행위가 있으면 거기에 대한 티켓을 드리는 사람입니다.
And how long have you had that position?
It's been over 10 years now.
그리고 10년 넘게 이 직업을 가지고 있었고요.
Okay, I have a question for Miss J. Miss J, I just need to make sure that you're interpreting each time a person speaks, you're interpreting that individual, correct?
Yes.
Not summarizing.
No.
Okay, thank you. Miss White?
As a part of your job, do you handle tobacco retail permit renewals?
Yes.
Can I speak?
No, she has to interpret what was just said.
Okay.
그리고 그 직업으로 그 담배를 판매할 수 있는 그 인증 허가증을 또 나눠주는 직업인가요? 네, 맞습니다.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we will stipulate to everything that the city's witness will be testifying.
Okay, we aren't sure what that is. How do we know what the city's witness will say? Miss
And my
J?
client failed to renew his license in a timely manner, and that is prohibited because of density regulations.
Okay.
We stipulate to all of that.
Okay.
Can I ask?
But not Miss J?
Sorry.
네, 그러면 지금 시에서 올린 그 증인이 하는 말을 모든 것을 받아들일 계획으로 이제 말씀드리고 싶지만 그게 무엇인지를 잘 모르기 때문에 다 들어봐야 되는 겁니다. 그래서 지금 변호사님께서 말씀하시기를 저의 의뢰인은 그 시간에 맞춰서 그 담배 허가증을 이제 그 재신청을 하지 않았다라고 먼저 말씀을 드렸습니다.
Okay. Miss White, is there any part of that stipulation you're comfortable with?
I would like to ask Mr. Kim if he would stipulate to the fact that Ms. Wilkins sends out renewal letters August 1st, October 1st, and December 1st to remind a tobacco retail permit holder of the need to renew by January 1st of the following year.
네, 그러면 지금 모든 것을 이해하는 조항은 윌킨스 씨께서는 8월 1일, 10월 1일, 그리고 12월 1일부터 계속 그 담배 판매 허가증을 갱신을 해야 된다라는 알림 편지를 보낸다라고 이제 동의를 하십니까?
I will stipulate insofar as the letters may have been sent by the city, but they were regular mails and they were not certified mails. If that's the case, I will so stipulate that the city may have sent it out.
네, 그럼 변호사님께서 그 동의하시는 그 조항은 시에서 그 편지들을 보냈지만 그것은 공인된 편지가 아니었고 만약에 시에서 편지를 보냈다라는 그 조항에만 동의를 합니다.
So if Attorney Kim is stipulating to the fact that this was not timely renewed, then the issue is purely legal and there's no need for further testimony. And what he is asking from the board is for equitable relief, which the board can't grant.
네, 만약에 변호사님께서 그 허가증을 그 제 시간에 갱신을 하지 않았다라는 그 조항에 동의를 하시는 거라면 이 모든 사건은 다 법적인 사건으로서 그것은 이 결과를 공정한 그 결과를 이제 공정하게 모든 것을 해결할 수 있는 것으로만 얘기를 할 수 있고 더 이상 증언을 할 필요가 없다라고 얘기를 하는 겁니다.
The law is clear that renewals are due before the expiration of the term. They are supposed to be submitted before 60 days, at least 60 days before. If they are submitted less than 60 days, there are additional costs. The regulations adopted by the health department gave a grace period up until January 1st to allow a renewal applicant not to have to, pay those, not to have additional consequences for renewing by that time. So in any way, it's too late. And Mr. Kim's argument that this death, which obviously was incredibly unfortunate, but that this prevented the renewal being submitted on time, being submitted late is simply, neither here nor there. It's of no moment. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's an unfortunate
Let's allow for the
situation.
interpretation.
네, 법은 아주 명확합니다. 이 담배 판매 허가증은 그 갱신하실 기회를 60일 전에 드리고 최소한 60일 전에 그 만료가 되기 전에 60일 전에 이제 갱신을 하셔야 되고 만약에 60일이 지나서 그 이하의 갱신을 하게 된다면 거기에 추가적인 비용이 듭니다. 그것은 법적으로 있는 것이고요. 그리고 만약에 그때까지 갱신을 하지 못한다면 그러면 1월 1일까지 갱신을 할 수 있는 또 그 기간을 드립니다. 위생국에서는 그런 그 기간을 드리고 그리고 만약에 이제 김 변호사님께서 변론을 하기를 이제 그 사망한 그 사건 물론 아주 안타깝지만 그래도 그것은 변명이 되지 않다는 것을 말씀드리고 싶습니다. 왜냐하면 어쨌든 간에 결과는 늦었고 갱신을 그 시간에 하지 않았다라는 것입니다.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I understand the city's position. I hear it every time that I appear before this board, but this board, it is within its discretion to deal with de minimis minor technicalities. In this case, they were late. He was late 2 days, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman and the board, late 2 days because the accountant's father passed away on December 28th. After burying his father, he applied, but he was locked out of the computer system. Within 8 days of that, he applied for this appeal. His father died on December 28th. He was locked out of the system January 2nd. He filed appeal on January 10th. It is precisely something like this that this body is convened to review the facts and see if there can be some way to deal with this kind of situation where my client, Mr. Choi, didn't do anything wrong. He did what he was supposed to do. Due to some unforeseen circumstance, his accountant's father passed away.
Okay, let's hear from the interpreter.
네, 그리고 물론 변호사로서는 이 시 입장을 잘 이해하고 잘 알고 있습니다. 왜냐하면 수십 번 이러한 상황에 이제 시 앞에서 나와 있었는데요. 하지만 지금 오늘날 우리가 여기 와 있는 그 사건은 아주 사소한 절차상의 오류 때문에 와 있습니다. 지금 저의 의뢰인 이제 최 씨의 그 회계사님의 아버지가 12월 28일 날 돌아가셨고요. 그 다음에 그 아버지의 장례식을 치르고 난 다음에 다시 회사로 돌아가서 컴퓨터가 그 시스템에 들어가지 못해가지고 회사로 들어간 날은 1월 2일이었고 그 다음에 또 그 시스템으로 들어갈 수 있었던 날은 8일 후에 1월 10일에 들어갈 수 있었습니다. 하지만 그 사소한 절차 때문에 그 오류 때문에 제 의뢰인은 모든 해야 할 일을 했지만 그 오류 때문에 지금 여기에 와 있는 것은 아주 이것은 제 의뢰인이 어떻게 막을 수 있는 없는 일 때문에 여기에 와 있다라는 것은 좀
He was not 2 days late. He was 62 days late. And that is a big difference. But either way, the board does not have discussion. The board has to follow the code. And the code here is clear.
Why, 60 days is a window.
Wait. We have to let the interpreter interpret.
이틀 동안 늦은 게 아니라 62일 동안 늦은 거였고요. 그리고 이 위원회는 같이 모여서 이런 것을 논의를 할 수 있는 것이 아니라 그냥 그 날짜에 맞춰서 하는 것입니다.
Let's do this because I think if the city is willing to accept Mr. Kim's stipulation, then all I need to hear then are the closing arguments from both attorneys before we vote. Is that acceptable?
That's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. White?
It's Mr. Kim's appeal, so.
Okay,
please. I do have a question. I just want to confirm.
Mr. Pincus, I just need the interpreter to get everything we just said, and we'll go back to you.
I'm sorry, you're right.
그러면 모든 그 두 분의 입장을 그 조항을 동의를 한다면 그러면 이것은 김 변호사님의 항의이기 때문에 그 의사에 따라서 같이 그 최종 변론만 듣도록 하겠습니다.
Okay, Mr. Pincus.
I guess this is a question for Ms. Wilkins.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the interpreter.
이것은 이제 윌킨스 씨에게 드리는 그 질문이고요.
Is the permit renewal deadline November 31st or December 31st?
The deadline is December 31st. There's a window from August 1 to November the 1st for on-time payments, where it's $300. And then November 2nd to December 31st is considered late. They pay a late fee, but they still can renew until the end of December. So it's December 31st. As of 12 midnight on January 1, the cutoff is done.
Thank you.
그 8월 2일부터 11월 1일까지 제 시간에 그 갱신을 하는 비용은 300불이고 그 다음에 11월 2일부터 12월 31일까지 늦은 겁니다. 그래서 그것은 이제 언체료를 내야 되는 거고요. 그래서 그 제대로 된 그 갱신 비용을 낼 수가 있지만 거기에 대한 또 언체료가 있습니다.
Okay. Just one clarification. What was the death of the individual that's been noted in the record? What was the date of the death?
December 28th.
그리고 기록에 있는 그 사망한 그 사건은 그 날짜가 12월 28일이었고요.
Okay. All right, then let's do this. I will hear closing comments from both sides. And Ms. Kim, you'll be asked to go first, and then we'll finish with Ms. White, and after which the board will vote.
I think Mr. Pincus had a question.
I do, but I want what Mr. Woodson just said to be interpreted.
네, 그러면 양쪽 이제 김 변호사님과 그리고 화이트 씨의 최종 변론을 듣고 그다음에 위원회에 투표를 하겠습니다. 그리고 아마 핑커스 씨께서 지금 질문이 있었던 것 같은데.
My question is, as I read the appeal, it states that the CPA for the appellant was to make the application, not Mr. Park. So I'm not sure why the passage or the passing of the relatives has any bearing on whether or not the CPA may.
Mr. Park.
Can I finish my comment and question?
Yes.
Go ahead, interpret that, please, and then I'll finish my comment.
지금 이 항의서를 보면 이제 회계사가 그 회계사 미스터 파크 회계사께서 그 신청을 하셔야 된다라고 항의가 되어 있고요. 그러면 왜 그 친척의 그 사망이 이 신청을 하는데 지장이 있었는지에 대한 의문이 있습니다.
What I was commenting is that the appeal states that the CPA was making the application, and it is the father of the appellant passed away, so the CPA was charged with filing the application, and the passing of the appellant's father may or may not have any bearing on his ability to file the renewal.
그래서 그 의문이라는 것은 지금 그 신청 서류를 제출을 하는 사람은 회계사인데 왜 그 상고인의 아버님의 사망이 그 신청을 하는데 지장이 있냐라는 의문이 있습니다.
Mr. Pincus, I think we have a slight disconnect here. Paul Park is the CPA.
네, 지금 뭔가 오해가 있었던 것 같은데요. 폴 파크 씨께서 그 회계사입니다.
And Mr. Park is on this Zoom if you would like to ask him any questions yourself.
그리고
No, the license does not go to Mr. Park. The license should be to the store owner.
6000 Robin Inc., the corporation.
그리고 만약에 폴 파크 씨에게 질문을 하고 싶으면 여기 지금 같이 참여를 하고 있기 때문에 질문하실 수가 있고요. 그리고 하지만 이 허가증은 그 회계사한테 가는 게 아니라 그 가게 주인한테 가는 겁니다. 이제 6000 로빈 애비뉴에 있는 로빈 잉크에 있는.
Well, I guess I need some clarification. If Mr. Park filed the appeal and he's not the licensee, are we, is the licensee here? And should not the licensee have taken care of this?
The licensee is on the Zoom under the title 6000 Robin. Mr. Choi, the accountant, was working for him, and every year it was renewed by the accountant. This year, the accountant failed to do that because his father passed away a couple of days before the deadline. And he tried renewing it. As soon as his father was buried, that's when he was locked out of the computer system. Hence, he filed appeal on January 10th.
Okay.
네. 그러면
Please interpret.
지금 그 이제 그 회계사가 이제 제출을 하는데 왜 그 회계사가 제출을 하면 그럼 그 상고를 하는 그 이름이 회계사가 아닌 그 허가를 받는 사람이 되었는데 이제 거기에 대한 의문이 있고요. 그러면 이제 거기에 대해 설명을 드리자면요. 이제 김 변호사님께서 말씀하시기를 뭐 매년 회계사가 이 신청을 하고 이제 신청서를 제출을 하는 걸로 되어 있는데 올해는 아버님께서 그 마감일에 이틀 전에 돌아가셔서 그 장례를 치르고 난 그 직후에 신청을 하려고 했지만 컴퓨터 시스템이 들어가지 못해가지고 바로 1월 10일 날에 이제 항소를 하였습니다라고 말씀드렸습니다.
This goes to the other issue in the appeal, which is that Mr. Park filed the appeal rather than a representative of the corporation that held the tobacco retail permit. So, I mean, the appeal itself was not really a proper appeal because Mr. Park has no interest.
그리고 이 항소의 또 다른 문제점을 말씀을 드리자면 그 항소를 할 때는 그 허가를 받는 이가 그 명의로 되어 있어야 되는데 이게 박 씨의 항소로 되어 있어가지고 거기에 대한 또 적절한 그 항소 신청이 아니다라고 또 말씀을 드리고 싶습니다.
What we're going to do is go back to the instructions that I think we all agreed to earlier. Mr. Kim, I will hear from you in closing comments, argument, and after which I'll hear from the city lawyer Maggie White.
네, 그러면 아까 전에 말씀드렸던 그 지시 사항으로 다시 돌아가겠습니다. 먼저 김 변호사님의 최종 변론을 듣고 그 다음에 시 변호사 매기 화이트 씨의 최종 변론을 듣겠습니다.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if there's ever a case, if there's ever a circumstance where a 2-day missing deadline should be overlooked is this case. Last time I appeared before the board stated, Mr. Kim, why did your client wait a whole year? You may not remember that case, but I still remember. The board said, only if you had come to us within a few months, maybe there's something we can do, but we can't. Well, my client in this case is coming to you after 2 days of trying to renew this, after 10 days of filing the appeal. Technical de minimis violation is within the discretion of this board to cure. And that is simply what my client is asking. My client's accountant, his father died right in the middle when he was supposed to renew. That's all we're asking for, to exercise some common reasonableness and give relief to my client in this particular case. That's all.
Ms. White?
This is certainly an incredibly unfortunate situation, and I mean,
Wait, shouldn't the interpreter interpret what Mr. Kim just said?
Oh, yes, my apologies. Ms. J?
지금 그 위원장님과 그리고 위원회 분들에게 말씀드리고 싶습니다. 이것은 아주 좀 극적인 상황이라고 말씀을 드리고 싶고 이거 이틀 안에 항소를 하였다라고 먼저 말씀을 드리고 싶고요. 마지막 옛날에도 이런 비슷한 사건으로 왔었는데요. 이제 아마 위원장님이나 위원회께서는 이제 기억을 못 하실 겁니다. 하지만 그때 제 의뢰한테 얘기를 왜 1년 후에 왔냐, 몇 개월 후에만 왔었을더라도 우리가 더 도움을 드릴 수 있었을 텐데 라고 얘기를 했습니다. 하지만 이 사건에서는 제 의뢰인이 이틀 안에 항의를 하는 거고요. 이틀 늦어서 10일 안에 항의를 하는 것입니다. 그래서 이것은 그냥 아주 사소한 절차상의 문제일 뿐, 그리고 그 또 문제 안에서 제 의뢰인의 회계사님의 아버님께서 이제 돌아가셨기 때문에 그렇게 생긴 오류입니다. 그래서 저는 그 위원장님과 그리고 위원회에 계신 분들에게 이제 요청을 하고 싶기를 조금이라도 좀 이해를 해달라, 그리고 이해를 부탁드립니다.
Before Ms. White gives her statement, I just want to confirm with Mr. Kim. Who is your client?
6000 Robin Inc.
Thank you.
그 미스 화이트 씨께서 이제 최종 변론을 하기 전에 먼저 김 변호사님한테 물어보기를 의뢰인이 누구입니까? 제 의뢰인은 6000 로빈 잉크입니다.
$6,000 Robin Inc. holds the tobacco retail permit. Under section 9-633B.1, the tobacco retail permit must be renewed no later than 60 days prior to the expiration of the permit term, which is December 31st. The health department's regulations provide a grace period in which if each of the late fees are paid by January 1st, the retail permit is renewed, it is considered a timely renewal. Reminder letters are sent out at the beginning of August, at the beginning of October, and at the beginning of December. The ultimate responsibility for renewing the tobacco retail permit lies with 6000 Robin Inc. Here today, we have an appeal by Mr. Park. So technically this would be a non-pro-tunc appeal because he does not hold the tobacco retail permit and he is not somebody that is in a position to file an appeal. Similarly, the retail permit was renewed lately by Mr. Park. He is not the one who is ultimately responsible. A line needs to be drawn. The statute drew the line, and the board does not have discretion to extend the time within which the renewal can be made.
Okay.
6000 로빈 잉크는 그 담배 판매 허가를 소유를 하는 그 지체입니다. 그것은 9-63-3B.1 조항으로 명시가 되어 있고요. 그 조항에 명시가 되어 있는 법은 60일 전에 담배 판매 허가가 만료 기간 60일 전에 그 갱신을 해야 된다라고 쓰여져 있습니다. 그것은 12월 31일까지이고요. 그리고 거기에 대한 또 유예 기간을 드립니다. 그 유예 기간은 이제 1월 1일까지 갱신을 해야 합니다. 그리고 그 전엔 8월, 10월, 12월부터 계속 갱신을 해야 된다라는 알림 편지를 보냅니다. 또한 이 항소심에 적혀 있는 이름은 폴 파크 씨입니다. 하지만 이 허가증의 책임자는 6000 로빈 잉크이며 그래서 폴 파크 씨께서 이 항소를 제기를 할 그 자리에 있지 못합니다. 그래서 이거는 적절한 항소가 아니고요. 그리고 또 하지만 또 이 허가를 신청을 하려고 했을 때 벌써 이미 늦은 상태에 갱신을 했습니다. 또한 그 늦은 시간에 이 위원회에서 모여가지고 또 논의를 할 수 있는 상황이 또 아닙니다.
Okay, thank you very much. With regard to appeal number HA 2021-002-434, we will now poll the board regarding the appellant, Paul Park, 6234 Woodland Avenue, represented by Kevin T. Kim. I will begin the vote. City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed. There's been a unanimous vote. City affirmed. Thank you very much for your participation. Mr. Kim, as you know, you can appeal the decision of the board. And of course, you can check in with the Illinois Administrative Office if you need additional information regarding the appeal process.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, the interpreter has to finish before we leave. Please finish.
네, 사건 번호 HA 2021-002434에 대한 투표를 하겠습니다. 그리고 그 투표는 지금 폴 파크 씨 그리고 6234 모들린 애비뉴에 거주하시는 폴 파크 씨고요. 변호인은 케빈 킴 씨입니다. 거기에 대한 투표를 하려면 그 만장일치로 시의 손을 들어줬습니다. 그래서 김 변호사님께서는 이 사건에 대한 항의를 할 수가 있습니다.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I make a one comment?
No.
네, 그리고 네, 더 이상 말씀을 하실 수가 없습니다.
Thank you. Ms. Rand, I'd like to go back to case number 4, please, if we could.
Certainly. Case number 4, appeal number 39563, eclipse number HA-2020-004525, Veronica R. Lee Montgomery, 6049 Haverford Avenue.
Okay, thank you. I think, Mr. Cohen, that's your case. Is Ms. Veronica R. Lee Montgomery present? Anyone representing Ms. Montgomery present? Okay, Mr. Cohen, what is your pleasure?
The city respectfully requests that this be marked city affirmed for the failure to appear.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Pincus?
The time is 2:31 p.m.
2:31 p.m. We will poll the board with regard to appeal number HA 2021-004525, Veronica R. Lee Montgomery, 6049 Haverford Avenue. City affirm lack of appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cohen, have a good
Thank
afternoon.
you. I still do want to make sure the add-on for 4345 Lancaster Ave, is that being considered this afternoon?
Ms. Rand, I don't think we have that one, do we?
I'm sorry, I did not forward it to the board yet. I was going to try,
Okay.
I could ask them to do a look at an executive session after this if you would.
Okay, yeah.
We won't hear it today, then we may.
We won't hear it.
We'll make a decision regarding an executive session regarding the emergency appeal request, but we won't hear it today.
That's fine. I actually was going to make sure that the city's continuance request either for November 16th or November 30th was put before the board in executive session.
Okay.
So that can be considered later. Thank you very much, members of the board. Thank you, Ms. Rand.
Okay. Well, what do we have next?
We have case number 8, appeal number HA-2021-002590, Mauricio Lima Lopez, 4700 Chester Avenue, represented by Carlos Vega. And we have a Spanish interpreter.
Okay, let's do this then. Let's begin with the Spanish interpreter because we will need that person to interpret for the appellant. Okay, I believe that's Miss Catherine Keister. So raise your right hand as you are. Do you swear to faithfully translate simultaneously from Spanish to English, English to Spanish, the proceedings as we move through this case?
I do. Would it be fine for me to put myself on mute and simultaneously speak with the person I'm interpreting for via phone?
Yes, that would be preferable if you're able to do that.
Okay.
Mr. Vega, you're
so
okay with that?
Can I have the phone number of the person that I'm interpreting for?
Well, Mr. Vega, his attorney is on the screen. I'll just get Mr. Vega to respond.
Yes, I can do that. He has his phone here. Let me give you his number right now, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
His number is 267-393-0206.
Okay. Entonces, señor, yo le voy a llamar por teléfono, así puedo hacerle la interpretación mientras que están hablando todos. Okay, thank you. I'm going to do that then.
Okay, Mr. Vega, in terms of what of the technology we're dealing with, it would be probably good for him to sit away from you because there may be some interference if he responds to the interpreter.
Okay, haga un favor, siéntate allá. Entonces hablamos.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, who's representing the city in this matter?
Un poco más.
Good afternoon, members of the board. James Panko on behalf of the city.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Pango, do you have any witnesses today?
Yes, Jody Wilkins.
Okay, Ms. Wilkins, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Vega, do you have any other witness? Do you have any witnesses of your own today?
I would call my client.
Okay, well, let's do this. Once you're ready for him to testify, we'll then swear him in at that point.
Fine.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Panko?
Yes, I'd just like to give a brief opening and then I'll call my witness.
Okay, yes.
Before the board today is an appeal from the denial of a tobacco retailer permit renewal. This was done, this decision was made by the Department of Health due to various sales to minors that occurred during a 24-month period. And I would just like to emphasize that the appeal today is narrow. It is strictly for this renewal decision letter. And with that, I would call Jody Wilkins.
Okay, Ms. Wilkins?
Okay.
And sorry, Ms. Wilkins is sworn, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wilkins, could you state your title?
I'm a sanitarian supervisor.
And what are some of your duties that are associated with that position?
I approve and deny tobacco retailer permits for the right to sell tobacco and e-cigarettes in the city of Philadelphia.
I'm going to ask if you're familiar with a business located at 4700 Chester Avenue.
Yes, I am.
If I may interject a moment, I would stipulate to exhibit submitted by counsel, which is a letter dated December 27th, 2019 by Ms. Wilkins. In that letter is contained the fact of denial for the renewal of the permit and states specifically 3 certain dates of the violations. June 21st, 2018, June 28th, 2019, and August 6th, 2019.
Mr. Panko?
I'll agree to that as well. Thank you, Mr. Vega.
Okay, thank you.
So Ms. Wilkins, you just heard that counsel for appellant and myself stipulated to a letter that was sent denying the renewal. Could you just briefly explain the regulation as to why this business was denied renewal?
Yes, they were denied the tobacco retailer permit for the year of 2020 because they had sold to minors 3 times in 2 years, as stated in the record. Those 3 dates were the dates of the violations that occurred. And so when you do sell to minors 3 times within a 24-month period, 2-year period, then your permit will be denied for 1 year.
Before I ask Ms. Wilkins, Mr. Vega, would you stipulate to exhibit B, or would you like me to go through that? Those are the individual CVNs.
Oh, about the regulations?
No, the individual tickets.
Oh, yes, I would stipulate to them, absolutely.
Okay. And also that the dates of the tickets in Exhibit B are the same dates in Exhibit A?
Yes, I would stipulate that the dates on the complaint or the summonses are the same date as contained in Ms. Wilkins' letter of denial.
Okay, thank you. And I think finally, Exhibit C in my packet is the backside of the individual CVNs. Would you also stipulate that that's the language that's on the back of those tickets?
So stipulated.
I do have a question though, and you can tell me how we need to respond to that. Was there an appeal taken by the appellant in response to the instructions on the rear of the tickets?
I believe that may be a point of contention. I can answer that.
Okay, well, maybe Mr. Vega will address that in when he puts on his case. I'll leave that for that. Then I'll withdraw my question.
Okay. I have no further questions for Ms. Wilkins. along with
Okay.
those stipulations.
Okay, Mr. Vega, do you have any cross-examination?
Yes, I do. Ms. Wilkins, in the denial, you state three dates that my stipulation that's contained in your letter. Am I correct?
Correct.
And you yourself,
I'm not sure I understand.
seems like my Apple Watch is talking to me.
You had an unfair advantage, sir. You bring it in extra hitters, so.
And in writing that letter, you reviewed the code violation notices. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to direct your attention to the one which is dated June 28, 2019. Do you have that in front of you?
Do I have in front of me? No, I do not.
I can share my screen, Mr. Vega, if that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Give me one moment. You were referring to the June 21 date, correct?
No, the June 28th.
June 28th.
If you could magnify that a bit, Mr. Panko, that'd be helpful.
Is that better or a little more?
Just a little more. Thank you. Mr. Vega?
Okay, Ms. Wilson, have you been able to look at that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, did you interview the actual person or officer who wrote that complaint?
The ticket is written by one of my employees, Brioni Pruitt.
Okay.
When she writes the ticket, she returns it to me. I process those tickets.
Okay, and did she inform you as to the age of the minor that purchased the tobacco?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Did she give you the name and age of the minor who purchased the tobacco?
No, I can explain how the process is, how the ticket is written. And what happens is we have a contract agency by the name of Health Promotion Council, HPC, and they go out undercover an adult and underage youth to go and see if the stores will sell them the tobacco, the minor the tobacco. If they do sell it, then we get an email from the Health Promotion Council stating what the violation and when, the date, the time that it occurred. And then once I process that information, then my employee goes out to issue the ticket. So we ourselves was not there at the actual violation date and time.
So in other words, in terms of that purchase that the minor would make, the actual officer does not witness that purchase. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, say it again.
When the actual purchase is made by the minor, the officer is not present to view that purchase?
Correct.
Okay. And additionally, does that officer verify what type of tobacco was purchased, whether it's a cigarette, cigar, or the like?
It states it on the documentation that the Health Promotion Council sends to us. And we write the ticket based on what the information is gathered on the document that they send to us.
And
so we know what the tobacco is.
Okay, and what was the tobacco purchase on that day?
I don't know at this time for that particular case.
And you do not know the age of the individual, correct?
Not offhand, no.
Do you know whether the individual is male or female?
Not at this point, no.
Do you know what the race of the individual was? African American, Caucasian, Hispanic?
I do not know.
I submitted to the solicitor a video dated June 28, 2019. Did you get to view that video?
No, I don't know what video you're talking about.
Okay. And you do not know what clothing the individual was wearing who made the purchase, am I correct?
No, I don't.
Okay. For the record, I submitted to the solicitor and Ms. Rand a video. I would note that it's dated June 28, 2019. In terms of the
Mr. Vega, may I ask you a question, please, in regard to the video? What is the content of the video?
Content of the video, and I highlighted the fact that the complaint says the purchase was done at about 5:17. In that video, it's several hours. I noted where it is. In that video, and the solicitor would verify or disagree. The only individual I could identify that might be considered a juvenile is a young lady, I believe African-American, light-skinned, who's wearing a olive-colored dress. And in that video, it shows the cashier looking at the identification, handing it back, and making the sale.
Okay, but I guess the question to you and your client then, when the violation notice was received, did the your client appeal the violation, or did he pay the fine?
He will testify as the reason he did, but he did pay the fine.
Okay, so you know from reading the rear of the form itself, by paying the fine, you acknowledge the violation.
Absolutely, I understand that.
So what is the argument then?
The argument is, and it's almost an argument as to equity, and I know there's a strict liability as to the law. But
Yeah.
the issue is, there are two purchases that we would take issue with.
Okay,
Which you
but
did.
but isn't the form for the argument, be it the administrative hearing that the appellant could have requested?
Absolutely, and you are correct.
Okay.
But the client still wishes to appeal and to be heard on that issue.
Sure. Okay.
If I may, Mr. Vega, I believe you stipulated when Mr. Panko was putting on the case to the actual letter that stated the dates of the violations, and you stipulated to the violations. So you agreed that these violations were in fact issued. And so you're not this isn't the tribunal where you relitigate those violations. And I believe that's what Mr. Panko alluded to in his opening remarks, that if these violations were to be challenged, they should have been challenged pursuant to the procedures that are outlined on the ticket.
Absolutely, I understand your argument. As an officer of the court, I would not take issue on something that is a black and white letter law. Although, in speaking to my client, he wishes to address the tribunal. But I understand what you're saying, and I understand what argument counsel will be making for the city.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Vega, we want to be equitable and fair to everyone, but also, if we don't also want to prolong the proceedings unnecessarily. So that if there are some very specific items that he wants to share, we're happy to hear them, but there will be a limit to that.
Okay. I think I've addressed the issue of where.
Okay, but at the moment, are you still questioning Ms. Wilkins, because you were on the cross? So are you completed your cross examination?
I finished my cross examination of Ms. Wilkins.
Okay, I want Mr. Vega then to have. I'm sorry, Mr. Panko to have an opportunity to complete his presentation. Then we'll go to you. Okay.
Fine.
Mr. Panko.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no redirect from Ms. Wilkins, and the city would rest with that.
Okay, I do have a question. Is it a matter of strictly the number of violations that were issued in a 24-month period that resulted in the denial of the 2020 license? Is that essentially it?
Yes.
Mr. Panko, I'm asking.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Vegas, your turn, please.
And I think it'd be by way of stipulation. My client would testify if called by way of offer of proof that when he received a letter on December the 27th of 2019, denying his request for renewal, he took all tobacco products off the shelves, put them in storage, has not sold any tobacco material since that time to the present.
Until what date was that he took them off the shelf?
He took them off the shelf. This letter is dated December 27, 2019. I'm sure you're going to receive it same day. He can testify with absolute certainty in January. He took all tobacco products off the shelves and did not sell any tobacco products from that day till the present.
And that was January of 2020?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have my client here who would test to that fact, unless counsel would be willing to stipulate to his testimony.
I have no objections to that specific stipulation.
With that, we would rest.
Okay, thank you. Well, then what I'll ask for then is closing argument. First from you, Mr. Vega, and then we'll close at Mr. Panko.
I'm aware of by way of my stipulation, the fact that my client did pay the the fines and each of the violations, what that states, which is basically an admission. I would just highlight to the court that basically with the evidence I introduced, here's an individual who does not speak English, is not aware of his, complete rights without the aid of an attorney, thought it was more expedient to pay the fine rather than undergo litigation. And the fact that he complied fully in that when that license was not renewed, he complied fully and did not sell any tobacco products with absolute certainty from January 1st to the present, which would hopefully allow him to once again be able to renew that the request for a permit since an extensive period of time has elapsed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Panko?
Thank you, members of the board. As I alluded to in the opening, it's a very narrow matter that's before the board today, and that is whether the letter that Ms. Wilkins issued in December of 2019 was issued in accordance with the code and the regulations of the health department. Mr. Vega has stipulated to the contents of the letter, as well as the contents of the individual code violation notices that went to his client, and as well as the rear of those code violation notices, which states the appeal rights for each individual notice. Any evidence that has been introduced regarding the actual physical sales that led to those code violations is not able to be litigated at this matter. And so we would request a city affirm decision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With regard then to appeal number HA-2021-002590, we will poll the board. City affirm.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. The unanimous vote is city affirm. You may appeal the board's decision. If you need additional information regarding the appeal process, please contact Illinois staff. They can provide the information that you will require. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May we be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. And I believe that completes our calendar for today. The board will recess to executive session. And thank you very much to everyone who's participating and your cooperation. Thank you. Ms. Thompson, we will not need a court reporter in executive session.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Have a good
You're
afternoon,
welcome.
everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Be well, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Mr.
Ms. Houston.
Bye-bye.